Donald Trump, the man who loves a good trade war, has set his sights on a new target, the European Union. Fresh off slapping tariffs on goods from Mexico, Canada, and China, Trump is now threatening to do the same to the EU. You read that right. The Donald reckons the EU is giving America a raw deal. He's moaning about how many cars and farm products America buys from the EU, claiming it's way more than what they buy from the good old US of A. Trump's logic. Well, it's about as clear as a muddy puddle. He seems to think that if he slaps enough tariffs on other countries, they'll magically start buying more American stuff. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him. But here's the kicker: data from Eurostat shows that many EU countries actually have a trade surplus with the US. That means they're already selling more to America than they're buying. So, what's the real reason behind Trump's tariff threats? Some say it's all about protecting American jobs, others reckon it's just Trump throwing his weight around on the world stage. Whatever the reason, one thing's for sure, these tariffs are causing a whole lot of uncertainty and anxiety for businesses and consumers on both sides of the Atlantic. The EU, for their part, aren't taking this lying down. They've already condemned Trump's tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and China, and they've made it clear that they're ready to hit back if he tries anything funny with them. They've even got a name for it: rebalancing measures. Catchy, right? Basically, it means they'll slap tariffs on American goods if Trump goes ahead with his plan. And it's not just talk. The EU has a history of standing up to Trump's trade shenanigans. Remember when he imposed tariffs on steel and aluminum imports from the EU back in 2018? The EU retaliated with tariffs on a whole bunch of American products, from Harley-Davidson motorcycles to bourbon whiskey. It was a proper trade war, with both sides losing out. But this time, the stakes are even higher. The EU is a much bigger trading partner for the US than Mexico, Canada, or even China. If Trump goes ahead with his tariffs, it could have a serious impact on the American economy. We're talking about job losses, higher prices for consumers, and a whole lot of economic uncertainty. Now, for those of you who slept through economics class, let's talk about tariffs for a sec. Basically, a tariff is a tax on imported goods. So, if America puts a tariff on European cars, for example, those cars are going to become more expensive for American consumers. The idea is that this will encourage people to buy American-made cars instead. But here's the thing: tariffs are a double-edged sword. Sure, they might protect some domestic industries in the short term, but in the long run, they can actually harm the economy by raising prices for consumers and businesses. And let's not forget about retaliation. When one country imposes tariffs, other countries often retaliate with tariffs of their own. That's exactly what happened when Trump imposed tariffs on Chinese goods. China retaliated with tariffs of their own, and before you knew it, we had a full-blown trade war on our hands, and guess what? Nobody won. Both the US and China suffered economically. So, what's the bottom line? Well, Trump's tariff threats against the EU are a big deal. They have the potential to disrupt global trade, harm the economies of both the US and the EU, and create a whole lot of uncertainty and instability in the world. And for what? To score some political points? To try to bully other countries into doing what he wants? The truth is, nobody really knows what's going on inside that head of his. But one thing's for sure: the world is watching, and they're not impressed. They're seeing a US president who seems hell-bent on starting trade wars with anyone who dares to disagree with him. And they're wondering what the hell happened to the country that used to be a beacon of free trade and global cooperation.